Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Naluri community webinar for all our Muslim members in the audience. Selamat berpuasa and Ramadan Kareem. My name is Mikey, and I'll be your host and moderator for today's session. So as we wait for more people to join us, hi, Jessica. For our Muslim members, why don't you tell us if you have to undergo any dietary changes to your routine for the month of Ramadan? For me, at least, I tend to eat a bit less because there's less opportunity to eat simply because of that. And if I do eat too much, I end up too tired throughout the day, which is something I would want to ask Siti actually during the Q&A. Hi, Mohammed. Do share on the chat box on your right any burning questions you'd like to be addressed for this presentation as we wait for more people to join. You could even share as an emoji how you're feeling for those who are fasting in the chat box on your right. We'll just wait about 2 more minutes before we start the session. Increase protein intake. Yeah, true. Guess you're quite a protein guy. I know for those who try to stay active during Ramadan, dietary changes include like stuff to make you more active throughout the day, to be able to exercise as well, not just to be full. Okay, we'll just wait 1 more minute. Hello, Hasiliawati. I do know in Indonesia, they actually have a public holiday for the first day of Ramadan. So we might be missing our Indonesian friends in the chat today. Okay, I think it seems like we have enough people to start the session, so let's begin. For those who missed it, I am Mikey. I'm your Naluri host and moderator for today's session. And I'm very honored to be joined today by Naluri Dietitian Siti Zulaikha to present Food for Thought, a deep dive into diet and nutrition. So before we start, I'm just going to go through some housekeeping. This presentation will be a very interactive session, so we do encourage everyone to try to get involved. You can ask your questions, participate in polls, and share your thoughts from the tab on your right. If you would like to ask Siti a question, but keep it private, you have to write @Siti, and then there's a little option to tick that says send as private message. Just a reminder, there will be handouts throughout the session, so if you'd like to download it, it's on your tab on your right as well. And the presentation will be sent to you the recording will be sent to you after the session, but this whole presentation will be available as a downloadable PDF as well at the end. Okay, so let me introduce Siti. Siti Zulaikha, Naluri Dietitian. As a dedicated dietitian, Siti strives to empower her clients to attain their health and nutrition objectives. With a bachelor's degree in dietetics from the International Islamic University Malaysia, Siti has gained valuable experience as a dietetics intern, working with both inpatient and outpatient services. Siti also graduated with a Scope certificate from the World Obesity Federation for obesity management. Siti is committed to providing practical and evidence-based dietary recommendations that promote sustainable change through a balanced diet approach. Over to you, Siti.
Thank you, Mikey, and hello, everyone. And yes, to our Muslim members, Ramadan Kareem. Welcome to our community webinar today. My name is Siti Zulaikha, and I'm a Naluri dietitian. I'm very excited today to share today's topic with all of you. But before we start, I want to introduce you guys to what a dietitian is and how we can help you in achieving a healthier well-being. So today's agenda, number one is introduction to a dietitian. Number two is diet and nutrition to improve sleep quality. And then part three is about what to avoid before we sleep. And then after that, how sleep can affect our diet. And after all of this, then we wrap up and we can go to the Q&A session, in which that you can always ask in the chat session by tagging me, or just generally in public. You can also ask in the chat. So, Mikey, can you help me with the Mentimeter? I would just like to know, right? What do you think of when you hear the word dietitian? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Or have you ever heard of the word dietitian? Wow, very interesting. So it helped diet police. Nutrition guide. Okay, food intake, healthy food, diet, weight loss, food consultant, body weight management. Yes, eat healthy food, balanced meal. What can I eat? Eat less. Advices on food. Okay. All right, so I guess like most of you have the general idea of what a dietitian is and sort of what we do generally, right? So I will explain a little bit on what we do. It's more than just weight management, it's more than just diet police. So I guess we can move on to the next slide. Okay. Okay. So, what is a dietitian? So, dietitians generally are qualified and regulated health professionals who assess and then nutritionally diagnose and also treat dietary and nutritional problems at an individual and sometimes wider public health level. What we do is that we perform several tasks that contribute to a person's overall health. We assess an individual's current diet, their medical history, their lifestyle to determine their specific nutritional needs. And then after that, we develop a customized meal plan to help the persons meet their nutritional goals, right? Aside from that, we also provide nutrition education. By this, we teach people the nutritional value of different foods and how this can impact the body. We also work with individuals who have medical conditions, such as diet that require specific dietary management, such as diabetes, heart disease, or food allergies, and then to develop meal plans that meet their unique nutritional needs, right? Aside from that, dietitians also provide counseling and support to individuals who are struggling with their weight, eating disorders, and also other issues related to nutrition and diet. We often work as a part of a healthcare team, collaborating with physicians, nurses, and other professionals to provide comprehensive care to patients. Much like in Naluri, we have multidisciplinary coaches to ensure that our members achieve their full potential. Now we know what a dietitian do. What can we ask a dietitian? You can ask us about the types of food that you should be eating to improve your overall health, or how to make sure you are getting enough nutrients in your diet. Also, maybe how to modify your diet to manage a specific health condition. And sometimes you may ask for healthy recipes or meal plans to meet your nutritional needs. You can also ask us about healthy snacks for you to eat throughout the day, or how to make healthy choices when eating out at restaurants or social events. And for some of you who may have an issue with emotional eating, you may also want to know about how to avoid overeating or binge eating, and how to stay hydrated throughout the day. And I think this is very relevant now for Muslim community, because this is a fasting season, and most of us are probably dehydrated, are gonna be dehydrated throughout the day. And then also how to balance our diet to meet the needs of our physical activity level, and how to maintain a healthy weight and also prevent weight gain over time. So, with that in mind, throughout this session, please feel free to ask any questions you may have in the chat. Mikey will help me with compiling with the list and bring these questions for the Q&A later. Now, some of you may wonder, right? How can you reach out to a dietitian? Number one, you can use Naluri apps through the chat channels or through Food Journal. When you upload the food entries, you will get comments from our dietitian, and then you can also bring the conversation to the chat. You can also ask for a referral from your doctor. You can check with your local hospitals. Usually, we have one or two dietitians in the local hospitals. Or you can also ask for recommendations from your friends or family that have had experience meeting with a dietitian before. So, to summarize, dietitians do play a vital role in maintaining a healthy lifestyle. We assess and manage nutritional needs, provide education and counseling, and collaborate with other healthcare professionals to ensure comprehensive care. So, it is no secret that sleep and diet are essential for maintaining good health. Yet, their intricate interrelationships are routinely ignored, right? Our diet and nutrition may affect the quality of our sleep, and some foods and beverages may make it actually more or less difficult for us to obtain the rest that we need. Therefore, getting adequate sleep is actually linked to maintaining a healthy body weight, which is advantageous for those wanting to reduce weight. Knowing how sleep and nutrition are related actually can opens up chances to improve both in order to eat and sleep better and eventually have a healthy life. So before we go into the second part, let's answer some polls. I would like to know what you guys think of some of these questions. So maybe Mikey, you can put up the poll. Number one, do you think our meal timing can affect our sleep quality? I just want to see how many people think yes or no. Okay, yeah. 60% of our audience think yes. That's great. And then maybe we can look at the next poll, which is, do you snack after dinner? Now we see some mixed answers. Mm. I think it's very interesting, right? So from the answers, they they are mixed answers. 46% says yes, just a small snack. Another 40% says nope. So we have a pretty divided um, audience today. And some are asking, does dessert count? So, actually, to answer these questions, eating a snack before bed is fine for most people, but we should try to avoid eating excessively. So, for people who take snacks after dinner, before bed, it's still fine because it's still small. Um, and then stick to minimally processed nutrient rich foods as your snack, like Greek yogurt, banana, or about a fistful of nuts, just for you to have something to cover your stomach, or to feel less hungry. Thank you so much for answering the survey. I want to share with you a story, right? So there was a guy named Jay. So Jay is a 30-year-old man who, when he joined Naluri, he was in a toxic relationship with unhealthy food. And not just that, he also often skipped breakfast and ate large meals late at night. Jay knew his diet was unhealthy, but he didn't think it was affecting his sleep. However, He started having trouble falling asleep and staying asleep at night. He would wake up feeling groggy and tired, and even after getting a full 8 hours of sleep, he realized that his poor diet was likely the culprit to this, as it was causing him to experience digestive issues and then acid reflux that disrupted his sleep. So, upon this realization, right, Jay then decided to make a change and started to incorporate more whole foods into his diet, and then also starts to putting more gaps between his last meal and his sleep time. And then, as a result, he began sleeping better and waking up feeling more rested and energized. So, if any of you feel like Jay's story resonated with you, worry not. We are going to explore what we can eat and include in our diet that can help us in improving our sleep. So, in that topic, what are some of the nutrients that play the important roles in improving our sleep? Number one is magnesium. Magnesium, in particular, has been found to support muscular relaxation and promote a calm state of mind, both of which can significantly enhance the quality of our sleep. And then it also plays an essential role in maintaining a healthy levels of GABA, a neurotransmitter that can promote relaxation and helps us to fall asleep. However, given that our modern diets often lack this essential mineral, it is no wonder that magnesium deficiency is prevalent. This deficiency can lead to a variety of symptoms, including sleep issues, anxiety, muscle cramps, and also headaches. So, how can we ensure that we are getting enough magnesium in our diet? One way is to consume magnesium rich foods such as leafy greens, vegetables, nuts, and whole grains. Another way is to take magnesium supplements, which are readily available in most health stores. So, by ensuring that we get enough magnesium in our diet, we can promote better sleep and overall well being. So, if you're thinking, oh, I want to know what are some specifics of the food that I can eat that have a lot of, or rich in magnesium and other nutrients, it is included in the handouts that will be given in the webinar today. So if you want to have a look at the specifics of the food list, you can have a look in the handouts given. Okay. So next nutrient, it's calcium. So calcium is actually a mineral that plays an important role in the body's production of the sleep hormone, which is melatonin. What does melatonin do? Melatonin helps to regulate the sleep wake cycle, and then this in the end promotes restful sleep. Without enough melatonin, you may struggle to fall asleep or stay asleep. How does it work? Calcium works in the body to convert the amino acid tryptophan into melatonin, which helps induce sleep. So we know from this is that tryptophan is very important. So tryptophan is an essential amino acid found in foods like turkey, chicken, and eggs. Therefore, consuming foods are high in calcium and tryptophan can also promote better sleep. I mentioned just now that tryptophan is an essential amino acid. So, essential amino acid means that our body cannot produce it, and then we can only get it from outside sources like foods. So, I know a lot of us probably have heard of calcium since we were very, very young. So, since calcium is a pretty famous mineral, would you like to share with me what are the foods that are high in calcium that you know of? Maybe Mikey can share the Mentimeter so that everyone can see what are the thoughts when they heard about calcium or foods that are rich in calcium. Let's just wait a moment. Milk, cheese, cottage cheese, banana, um, Okay, spinach, yogurt, seafood. See a lot of answers, sesame. Yeah, sardine, um, nuts, beans, fish with edible bones, meat, hummus. Um, Very interesting to see all these answers. Soy products, kiwi, almonds, fish. But I see a lot of people type milk and cheese, right? That's why they are bigger in the Mentimeters. So I guess now we can go back to the slide if we may, Mikey. Okay, so some of the foods that are rich in calcium that you've probably mentioned just now is like milk, cheese, and yogurts, and then yeah, some leafy green vegetables also like spinach and kale. They are also high in calcium. But additionally, fortified foods like tofu and orange juice are also excellent sources of calcium. So if you see any products that say they are fortified with calcium, they are probably high in calcium as well. Sorry, my voice just cracks. But unfortunately, many people don't get enough calcium in their diets, which can lead to plenty of health problems, including poor sleep quality. Therefore, it is essential to ensure that we get enough calcium in our diet by consuming calcium rich foods. I would like to expand on the topic of sleep and discuss the importance of another critical vitamin for our sleep, which is vitamin D. So probably a lot of us already know that vitamin D is known as the sunshine vitamin because our bodies naturally produce it when our skin is exposed to sunlight. Besides regulating calcium and promoting bone health, vitamin D also plays an important role in regulating the sleep-wake cycle. When the body is exposed to sunlight, it actually triggers the production of vitamin D, which then helps to regulate the body's production of melatonin, right? The hormone that we mentioned just now that signals to our body when it's time to sleep. And then a deficiency in vitamin D can actually lead to disruptions in our sleep wake cycle, making it difficult to fall asleep or stay asleep. But unfortunately, vitamin D is not found in many foods naturally, but it is abundant in fatty fish like salmon, tuna, egg yolks, and also fortified foods like milk and cereals. However, many people are still deficient in vitamin D due to factors such as limited sun exposure, wearing sunscreen, and living in areas with limited sunlight. And for people who works from home or people who works most of the time in the office, we are usually inside a building, and then when we go out, we wear sunscreen. So these also becomes one of the factors that limit our exposure and thus creates a deficiency for vitamin D. So this deficiency can actually result in a variety of health issues, including poor sleep quality. So while it is important to take vitamin D supplements or other supplements, it is best to note that it's always best to it's always best to get these vitamins and minerals from natural sources, especially for vitamin D from sunlight and food. It's also important to maintain a balance in vitamin D levels in the body because getting too much or too little vitamin D can have adverse effects on our health, including our sleep quality. Next is vitamin B, particularly vitamin B6. It plays a role in the production of neurotransmitters that regulate sleep. And the B vitamins are group water soluble vitamins that play important roles in various bodily functions, including the production of energy. So you may found people who take some B vitamin supplement to help them boost their energy early in the morning, for example. And it's also important for the maintenance of healthy skin and hair and the functioning of the nervous and immune systems. Foods that are rich in vitamins B6 includes poultry, fish, whole grains, nuts, and legumes. Other B vitamins such as thiamine, riboflavin, and niacin also play important roles in the nervous system, and then it may contribute to improved sleep quality. And then foods that are rich in these vitamins includes whole grains, dairy products, meats, and also leafy greens. Next is potassium. What is a potassium? Potassium is an electrolyte that helps in regulating fluid balance in the body. I see some people answering bananas in the our Mentimeters now. Yes, banana is actually very high in potassium. Potassium actually helps in promoting relaxation and improving sleep quality. It's a mineral and an electrolyte that is essential for various bodily functions, including maintaining fluid balance, regulating blood pressure, and also supporting proper muscle and nerve function. Can you hear me? Lost. Yeah, I think I recovered just now. Um, are we back? Am I back, Mikey? If you can respond. I think I'm back. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Okay. So where did I stop just now? So basically, it involves because it involves in the transmission of nerve impulses, right? This potassium, it it plays a role in promoting relaxation and also improving sleep quality. So some foods that are rich in potassium includes bananas, sweet potatoes, avocados, and then spinach and kale. It's also tomatoes and citrus fruits are also high in potassium. And lastly is omega-3 fatty acids. Research has shown that omega-3 fatty acids actually plays a role in various bodily functions, including reducing inflammation, improving heart health, and supporting brain function. And also been shown to improve sleep quality, particularly in individuals with sleep disorders such as obstructive sleep apnea (OSA). Foods that are rich in omega-3 fatty acids include fatty fish such as salmon and tuna, sardines, mackerel, as well as plant-based sources such as chia seeds, flax seeds, and walnuts. Omega-3 supplements such as fish oil or algae oil can also be a good source of these important nutrients. So let's go into part three. So before we go into the third part, will you guys share with me some of these poll? Like how many cups of coffee do you have in a day? I see we have a lot of coffee lover in the audience today. Okay, 1 to 2 cups, some 3 to 4, and some also 4+ cups in a day for coffee. And when do you usually consume coffee? Several times throughout the day. In the morning, yes, just to wake yourself up, right? Midday after lunch. Yeah, because sometimes after lunch we feel a little bit sleepy, so we might need some coffee after that. Around tea time. Okay, several times throughout the day. So a lot of people answers in the morning. Yeah, yeah, that's totally relatable. Some people like they cannot go on with their day or pursue with their day if they cannot have at least 1 cup of coffee in the morning. And then last, how many cups of coffee? I just want to know your general knowledge. How many cups of coffee is safe for an average person to consume in a day? You can answer. There's no right or wrong answer. I just want to know the general idea that our participants have. Okay, so a lot of people, a lot of the audience answers 1 to 2. 2 people answers 4 plus. Okay, so the answer is actually it is safe to consume up to 400 milligram of caffeine per day, and caffeine does not necessarily only have in coffee, for example. It's also available in tea and also other beverages. So 400 milligram of caffeine per day appears to be safe on an average adult. This is equivalent to 4 cups of coffee. And then, however, for pregnant mothers, it is encouraged to limit the amount of caffeine in a day to 200 milligram or around 2 cups of coffee per day. So if you're just an average adult, you can limit it to around 4 cups of coffee per day. But if you're pregnant or yeah, if you're pregnant, then can limit it to around 2 cups of coffee per day. So as we continue to discuss the importance of sleep and the factors that affect it, it is important to also mention the habits or substances that we should avoid before bedtime. Caffeine and alcohol, in particular, can have a significant impact on our sleep quality. Caffeine, a stimulant found in coffee, tea, and other beverages, is known to increase alertness and delay sleep onset. So, while most of us are aware of the effects of caffeine, we may not realize that it can also be hidden in other foods such as chocolate and ice cream. So, what should we do? That's why it's very important to read the labels and be mindful of our caffeine intake throughout the day. So, consuming caffeine late in the day may prevent many individuals from falling asleep and can also reduce the amount of deep sleep that we get. 2 to 3 p.m. should be good if you are planning to sleep at 9 p.m. So, meaning that if you are sleeping early that day at 9 p.m., then you may want to stop taking coffee or any beverages that contains high caffeine at 3 p.m., for example. So that way you give yourself enough time to metabolize caffeine and then can help you to fall asleep earlier on the day. And then, on the other hand, we're going to alcohol right now. On the other hand, while alcohol may initially make us feel drowsy, it can also disrupt our sleep later in the night. When we drink alcohol before bed, we may find ourselves waking up frequently, and it can be difficult to go back to sleep once the effects of the alcohol wear off. It can also worsen the symptoms of OSA or obstructive sleep apnea. That is a common sleep disorders that can affect breathing during our sleep. And then, in addition to caffeine and also alcohol, we should also be mindful of our diet before bed. For example, high glycemic, high carbohydrate meals can have a negative effect on how well we sleep and how much energy that we actually have. So, why it is commonly believed that heavy carbohydrate meals can make us feel sleepy? Studies have shown that consuming a diet that are high in carbohydrates can actually result in waking up more often at night and less deep sleep, which means that, for example, you may like after this is babuka and then you may wanna or whenever you eat rice you feel sleepy. Yes, this may makes you feel drowsy or sleepier, but it can actually makes you have less deep sleep and wakes you up more at night, so you may sleep easier, but it may not be as a better quality than when you eat less carbohydrate meals. So why this happens, right? This is because high glycemic carbohydrates such as white bread or pasta, it causes a spike in our blood sugar levels, leading to an increase in insulin production. And then this can ultimately lead to a disruption in our sleep cycle. So besides high carbohydrate meals, a diet that are high in sugar and processed foods can also disrupt our sleep. Consuming energy drinks and other beverages with added sugar can lead to poor sleep quality. due to the caffeine content and also the sugar spike that it will give. Therefore, it is always recommended to avoid consuming these type of beverages, especially before bedtime, to ensure that we all can get a restful night's sleep. So overall, right, to promote a healthy sleep pattern, it is recommended to avoid high glycemic, high carbohydrate meals and that are high in sugar and processed foods. Instead, we should focus on a balanced diet that are rich in protein, whole grains, fruits, and vegetables, because by doing so, we can ensure a good night's sleep and ultimately a healthier lifestyle for ourselves. Moving on to the next part of our webinar today. The question will be, right, we learn about all these things. So now the question will be, why is it important to ensure we have a quality sleep? Some people, you may find some people sleep for only 4 hours a day, 3 hours a day, yet they can still be so productive when they wake up. Disruptions in our sleep cycle can impact our dietary habits. When we do not get enough sleep or when our sleep is disrupted, it can lead to changes in our appetite, our metabolism, which can then affect our food choices and eating patterns. One of the most immediate effects of sleep disruption is an increase in hunger and cravings for high calorie, high carbohydrate foods. You may find yourself when you lack sleep that you are craving for some sugary foods, desserts, or chocolates. Why? This is because sleep deprivation can disrupt the hormones that regulate our appetite, causing an increase in ghrelin, the hunger hormone, and a decrease in leptin, the hormone that signals fullness. So, additionally, sleep disruption can also affect the way our body metabolizes food. Studies have shown that lack of sleep can lead to insulin resistance, which can make it harder for our body to process glucose, and this can eventually lead to weight gain. So, insulin resistance can also increase the risk for developing type 2 diabetes over time. Furthermore, sleep disruption can also affect our food choices and eating patterns. When we are tired, we are more likely to choose quick, convenient, and often unhealthy options rather than taking the time to prepare healthy meals. This can lead to an imbalanced diet with too many unhealthy foods and not enough nutrients dense foods. So, as you can see from this whole webinar, you can see that this actually creates a vicious cycle where poor sleep leads to unhealthy food choices. And unhealthy food choices, in turn, make it more difficult for us to achieve quality sleep. Therefore, it is very important for us to prioritize getting enough quality sleep as part of a healthy lifestyle. This includes establishing a consistent sleep routine, creating a relaxing sleep environment, and avoiding habits that can disrupt sleep, such as consuming caffeine or alcohol before bedtime, reducing your screen time, making sure that your room is very dark in order for you to fall asleep easier. So, by prioritizing quality sleep, we can help in regulating our appetite, improve our metabolism, and also make better food choices, leading to a healthier and hopefully a happier lifestyle. So, what do we learn today? We learn about the role of dietitians, the general roles, what to ask, and how to reach out to dietitians. But we also learned that the there is a strong link between our diet and our sleep. Minerals like calcium, magnesium, as well as vitamins like vitamin D's, vitamin B's, are essential for regulating the sleep wake cycle and then also promoting restful sleep. On the other hand, we also learned that high glycemic, high carbohydrate meals, sugar, processed foods, caffeine, and alcohol can all interfere with sleep and have a negative impact on our overall health and wellness. Therefore, it's important to pay attention to our diet and nutrition in order to ensure we're getting the nutrients that we need to support a good night's sleep. Because by doing so, we can improve our overall health and well being, making it easier to maintain a healthy eating habits and then achieve our nutrition or fitness goals. Thank you so much for listening. So I guess now we can um, move to our Q&A session.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Siti, for that excellent presentation, and for everyone engaging in the several polls in the Mentimeter we had throughout the session. I know some of you have already sent in some questions, but please do send in more. This is your chance to directly ask a question for a dietitian for any of your dietary questions. Please do make the most of this opportunity. Just before we get to the questions asked during the session, there were a few that came in during the registration process. But just before we get to that, just a reminder for anyone that will ask a question. If you do want to remain anonymous, please do write @Citi before you write your message and to tick the send as private message option. Okay, so first question that was asked during the registration process. Citi. I have trouble defecating daily and was told to increase my fiber intake by my doctor and pharmacist. But I don't really want to take supplements or fiber drinks. Are there any alternatives to increase my fiber intake through with normal daily foods?
Thank you so much for the person who asked these questions. Um, yes, trouble defecating daily could indicate that you are lack in fiber. Um, if you do not wish to take some fiber supplements or drinks, there are few recommendations. For example, the recommendations from our Minister of Health or the general recommendations is to have 5 servings of fiber in a day, which is 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruits. How do you want to incorporate this in your diet? You can, for example, now we have 3 main meals, so each main meals, make sure that you have a half portion of your plate with veggies. And make sure that it is in not just green leafy veggies, but also vegetables that comes in various colors. The more colors that you have on your plate for your vegetables, the better it is, because it means that you are getting not just fiber, but also multiple wide range of nutrients. So imagine yourself of getting 3 vegetables in your main meal. So that's already 3 servings of fiber, and then another 2 servings of fiber can come from fruits in which that you can take during your snack time. So we usually recommend taking snacks 2 to 3 hours after your main meal. So, for example, if you take your breakfast at 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning, then you can start taking your snack or your fruit at around 10 or 11 a.m. And then that's for 1 serving of fruits, and then another you can have before during your tea time, for example, maybe around 4 or 5 p.m. So that's already 5 servings of fiber. However, I would just like to add, right, for general public, we are recommended to take 5 servings of fiber, but Okinawans, they have the uh, they have the oldest community in the world, because they have multiple people that ages hundreds and above, not just one person. So these people, they actually takes 7 servings of fiber in a day. So yeah, the more fiber that you can have, not just that it can help with your digestion or defecation issues, it can also help with a lot of other things, and also can give you multiple minerals and vitamins for you, and just a general well-being.
Okay, just a follow-up question to that question. How many grams equal to 1 serving?
How many grams of fiber equals to
Fiber, I
one?
assume. Yes.
So for fiber, right, generally we do not want to limit it. That's why, like for example, for 1 servings of protein, it can equal to 20 to 40 grams for protein, because there are limits to proteins and also carbohydrates. But for fibers, we would like to encourage people to have as much as we can. So 1 servings Rather than following grams, we follow the plate portion, which is about a half, right? Or two fistfuls.
Okay, great. Just before we continue with the questions, for those that might need to hop off because it's near midday, I'm just sharing the nutrition fact sheet that Siti mentioned earlier. It's basically a cheat sheet of everything you need to know about nutrition and recommended foods as well. This will be available in the handout tab on your right. So go ahead and download that, please.
Yep.
Okay.
Please download it. I think it's a very well put infographic, and I hope that you guys can find it easy to read and also gain something from it.
Okay. Next question, kind of related to the month of Ramadan as well. Intermittent fasting, low carbs, and keto diets are becoming popular for weight loss and anti-inflammation. So what is a dietitian's take on this lifestyle change and these new diet trends?
Okay, thank you, Mikey. So for lifestyle change, number one, before you go and embarking in this, whether it's intermittent fasting, low carbs, or keto diets, or any diets that are promoted or being hyped up online or anywhere, always make sure that you seek advice from your doctors or physicians first, because everyone, they have different needs, nutritional needs. So for example, for people who have dyslipidemia or high cholesterol level, it may not be advisable for them to do some keto diets, even though for general public, keto diets in a limited amount of time can help with weight loss. But keto diet, okay, then this comes to the second point. At any kind of diets that you do, whether intermittent fasting, low carb, or keto diet, make sure that you follow the correct guideline. The usual misconception about intermittent fasting is that during your eating windows, you can eat whatever you want, regardless, and then also how whatever you want and how many that you want, right? But that's not true, because for intermittent fasting, during your eating window, you still need to eat within your calorie recommendations or calorie requirements for your body. And then for keto diet, for example, when people say I can have all fatty foods, and then they start to eat a lot of junk foods, for example. So that's not true. Also, what they actually emphasize on keto diet is about healthy fats, such as vegetables oils. They use a lot of vegetable oils in their meals, and then they have very low carbs. But then they also make sure that the proteins that they take together with the fats is a lean protein. So it's actually very healthy also, if you look at how it's done. So that's number one. And number two, and then number three, if you already do or already embark on this diet, make sure that check on yourself and see if you are, number one, experiencing any allergies or any issues with your body. Do you feel more fatigued or more tired? Do you feel drowsy after doing this? Do you have any issues with your stomach, or maybe you have some irritations, especially for people doing intermittent fasting? Always check on this. And lastly, um, these diets, while they may be effective for weight loss for a short period of time, they are not sustainable. So make sure that to give yourself a clear target and a clear time duration for you to practice this. And once you reach those, then you can start to incorporate eating a sustainable eating habit, healthy eating habit, for you to maintain those weight loss.
And obviously different diets apply to different people and how
Yes.
effective they are as well, because everyone's
Yeah.
built differently. So before you
Exactly.
even embark on these diets, do reach out to a dietitian like City to make sure this diet is even applicable to you or if it's safe. Okay. Just the last registration questions, as we have a few live questions to address as well. Are supplements supplementary drinks such as antioxidant drinks and probiotic helpful? And what is the science behind it? Why is it being encouraged?
Okay, so when we talk about antioxidants, why do a lot of people are selling antioxidants nowadays? Okay, I think I will cater to probiotics first because it's a bit shorter. So probiotics that are sold in pharmacies everywhere, they are, because they are bacteria, right? So probiotics are the bacteria that are in our stomach, and it helps with our gut health and also with our digestive system. So in in our stomach we have multiple or various hundreds of strains of bacteria. So the probiotics that are sold in pharmacies, they only sell specific strain of bacteria, right? So having those probiotic strains or taking those probiotics from the pharmacies may or may not help with your digestive issues, because um, only one strain of bacteria cannot affect the ecosystem in our stomach that much. Therefore, if you find yourself to be lacking of a certain strain of bacteria, for example, you have been having these digestive issues for some time, and you did um, some analysis, you go to the lab and then you test your feces, and then they found that you do like these strains of bacteria, they then usually the doctor will prescribe you with a certain bacteria strain that you can get from pharmacy. So you can, those are the kind of, usually the kind of people that go and seek the probiotics. But if you are seeking to get probiotics from natural sources, you can also get from fermented plant-based foods like miso, tempeh, for example. They are also a good source of probiotics. And then going into antioxidants, why we need the antioxidants, or why it is usually marketized for us to take, right? It's because we have this oxidations that's going on, and then these free radicals are usually very pervasive. So what these antioxidants do is that they neutralize the free radicals, right? Because what these free radicals is that when they float around in our body, they will damage the cells, because they trying to stabilize themselves by affecting other cells or anything that they interact with. So these antioxidants, they neutralizes the free radicals without actually harming themselves, right? So antioxidant drinks um, that are promoted or being sold out there, yeah, they could be some, the reason is that there is less scientific research that actually supported these antioxidant drinks. But you can have it, of course you can have it, but the best is always to get it from natural sources. For example, if you're looking for vitamin C, I know a lot of people take vitamin C supplements, but you can also get it from guava or jambu batu, for example. We have that a lot in Malaysia. Those are actually number one in vitamin C content, and then also from citrus fruits. And then if you are looking to get flavonoid, for example, you can also get them from um, and blueberries, apples, and then onions, and also in green tea. Those are also great examples of antioxidants. And then if you are a tomatoes lover like me, they have lycopene in it that is really helpful in has been associated to reduce the risk of getting lung diseases or heart attack. Yeah, so you can also get this from natural sources, because like you can spend your money on these antioxidant drinks, but for what? Because there has been like very very little research that shows that it is effective. And for every brand, they will promote different products. So not every brands also do research on their products. So it's best to, before you go buy, make some research whether they have any scientific base for the product, or you can always opt for natural sources, because it's not that hard to find. I mean, onions, we eat them every day. Tomatoes are available everywhere in Malaysia, and apples are also easily found.
What I found popular recently, or at least it might be a trend with more hipster people, I guess, is people consuming kombucha to get their probiotics. Does kombucha have more probiotics than other types of drinks? Because like that's how they're being marketed right now. So what's the science behind kombucha's probiotic? Is it just from the what do you call it? That little thing they put at the bottom that makes the fermented tea?
So kombucha is a fermented drink, so it's also like any other fermented products. Of course, they contain their own bacteria, so that's why it's promoted as it can help with probiotics, in which that they might, but like also like other things, there's very little evidence that says that kombucha can help with your or can help with adding probiotics or bacteria in your stomach. But the thing about kombucha is that it's usually very high in sugar because it involves fermentation process, and fermentation process usually involves a lot of sugar. So for people who are at risk of diabetes or pre-diabetes, please if you want to consume kombucha, make sure that you consume it moderately, but if you're diabetes, better not. Yeah.
Okay. Just to address Mohammed's question in the chat, the information sheet is per 100 grams. I think that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
per 100 grams. Okay. We're nearing to 12. We are going to continue the Q&A because there's a lot of questions asked during this session. But for those who need to hop off, I'll be sharing Siti's presentation as a PDF right now. It's available in the handout section. I'm also sharing a link to the feedback form of the webinar. So please tell us how you thought of me, how you thought of Siti's presentation, what else we can improve on, and what else you'd like to see in the future as well. That will be available as a pop-up on your left. Okay, so now we'll head to the live questions. The first one that was asked near the beginning. My son is 4 years old now. Usually he had to take his milk in the morning and the night before sleep, but this dentist suggested to remove the milk intake at night to avoid tooth decay. What's your dietitian view on this? And is the dentist right in suggesting this, or should this person continue feeding the milk at night?
Okay, thank you, Mikey. Yeah, I understand the dentist point of view because what the dentist point of view is that once you take your milk and then when you sleep and then there's going to be a fermentation of bacteria around your teeth, and of course it can lead to tooth decay. But you can always having milk at night or in the morning is good, especially for a 4-year-old kid who is still growing up, so they need a lot of calcium to help them with their physical growth. What you can do is that you can try to have milk before bedtime, but 30 minutes before you brush your teeth. What I say is that, for example, if you want to sleep at 10 or 9, and then you may brush your teeth before you sleep, but 30 minutes before that you can have your last milk, for example. So make sure that you have your milk, and then after 30 minutes after that you brush your teeth. Why 30 minutes? Because from what I read is that you need to have some gaps after you eat or drink something to avoid tooth decay also before you brush your teeth, because the action of brushing your teeth right after you eat can help in decaying your tooth as well. So 30 minutes after you have your last milk, and then you brush your teeth, and then you go to sleep. I'm sure your dentist will be fine with this, because in the end you still practice your sleep hygiene without actually minimizing your nutritional intake.
Great. Okay. Next question. There are various types of magnesium supplements available. Which one is the right one for sleep?
Yeah, thank you. Zaino is it the one who's asking this? So I think I received similar questions in the previous session as well, and I will say similar thing in which that to know which one that works for you, always because supplement is like the word itself, supplementary, only takes it if you need it. So how do you know you need it? If you are being prescribed to take it. So once you are being prescribed to take it, then you will know which type of magnesium supplement that you need to take. Yeah. Because different people is different, right? A different thing works for different people, and it also depending on your body's nutritional requirement as well.
Okay. Related as well to that question. This is a question asked privately. If our blood test report doesn't show any insufficiency of a certain nutrition, could be magnesium or calcium, would you still recommend taking supplements for these nutrients? Even though the results probably show we have a sufficient amount, right? But should we be taking supplements just to boost it further?
Okay, so thank you for asking these questions. If your blood test result doesn't show that your magnesium or calcium has any insufficiency or lack, you do not need to take any more from supplements, because taking calcium, for example, if you take calcium even after your body uses enough, it may cause side effects, like for example you may have joint pains, because these extra calciums, they will be floating around, so when they don't know where to go, they will cal- calcified in your joints. So, and then you can start to have joint pains just by taking these calcium supplements. So if you already have enough, you can just have like your regular normal eating routine. Just continue that. It means that you are doing good already.
Okay. Next question. I think we mentioned insulin resistance during the presentation, but there was a question asking you to further elaborate it. What does that actually mean? Like, why is that a negative thing?
Thank you. Thank you for asking this question. So, insulin resistant, what happens is that, okay, let me start from the beginning. So, what insulin does, it helps the absorption of glucose into the cells, because the glucose is needed for energy production. So, that's why carbohydrates is the first to be metabolized whenever we eat, because they give glucose for us to produce energy. So what happens with insulin resistance is that when you eat too much carbs, or if you are prone to diabetes, um, your body will produce more insulin than usual, responding to the higher glucose intake in your body. So the more glucose you have, the more insulin will produce. And then unfortunately, when our body produce insulin at a high level at a certain period of time, our cells will become sort of immune to it. Uh, And that's what we mean by resistance, right? So when they become immune to it, what can the insulin do? So the glucose will not be the glucose will not be absorbed into the cell, because the insulin cannot be is the cells already resistant to the insulin. So more insulin needs to be produced for more glucose to be taken. And then what this does is that, of course, this can lead to type 2 diabetes mellitus, because then this will exhaust the organ that produces insulin. And then also um, there will be more glucose or sugar floating around in our bloods. That's why if you test your blood and then suddenly there's high sugar, it's because of that. It's because the insulin that your body produces cannot help in absorption of this glucose into the cells anymore. So that is why it is important to, regardless whether you are diabetes, or if you have a family with diabetes history or not, to ensure that you are eating less refined carbohydrates, more whole grains if you can do so, like brown rice, for example, and then make sure that you have a lot of fiber in your diet to help to stabilize the um, glucose level in the body whenever you eat. I hope that helps to explain it.
Mm. If you would like even further elaboration, you can always reach out to Siti on the Naluri app, or even email her directly as well.
Mm.
Okay. Next question. We've spoken about metabolism quite a bit in order to help break down foods and stuff. What types of food, like specific foods, can actually help increase metabolism?
Thank you for asking the question. So, I think the one that we know so far is that the metabolism in our body, as we grow older, naturally it will decline. But um, food cannot help in increasing metabolism in our body. Some foods, they require more energy to digest, which, for example, protein, they require more energy to be digested. That's why people who are on a diet, they will have a lot more protein in their meal, right? To have because it requires more energy compared to carbohydrate. But it is still won't help in increasing metabolism, because for metabolism to be increased, you actually need to do more, because your body, they will be adapted to you. So if you work more, you do more physical activity that requires more energy, then your metabolism will slowly adapt to it, and it will increase depending on your need. So how to do so? You have to not just eat healthy, but also do more physical activity, do more strength training, make sure that your muscles, you have more muscles to fat ratio in your body. So that's how you ensure that your metabolism does not decrease as you age.
Is it part of genetics as well, like how much metabolism your body has?
It can be attributed to genetics, like many things.
Mhm.
Genetics plays a huge role, but we can always work towards making ourselves, um, for example, like if our metabolism, like by default, because of our genetics, is just at this level,
Yeah.
and regardless of whatever, we're still gonna be in that. But and then as we age, it will be lower. But
Mm.
the things that we can do is, so we can put in more effort to make sure that even as we age, it will still be at that level. For example, like athletes, their energy
Right.
or their metabolism is always going to be higher than an average adult. But as an average
Okay.
adult, we also need to put in more effort.
Mhm. Is that why a lot of younger people tend to be able to eat just a lot, and then you don't really see much weight gain as well?
Yeah, that's one. But also you can see that a lot of younger people, they are also a lot more active than adults, because
Of course,
adults,
yeah.
most of us are just like sitting in the office, like both of us doing right now. We're just sitting 8 hours a day, right? These are the
Mm.
things that we don't notice. Even when we are in uni, for example, we walk to go from one class to another. But then when we
Yeah.
work, we may just walk like 15 minutes a day. So those are the
Yeah.
kind of things that we don't notice, that actually, when we do it every day, it will take a toll on our metabolism.
Mm. And it's not natural for humans to be like sat down in a single position, like sedentary, for
Yeah,
8 hours
definitely.
plus. Yeah, and that includes also the commute to the office and back.
Yeah.
We're still sitting down. It's not really that active.
When we're driving in the car, like stuck in the jam for 1 hour.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. We
Mm,
mentioned melatonin as a supplement that can, I mean, it naturally occurs in our body, but we
mm,
can have more to
mm.
promote sleepiness and better sleep. In Malaysia, there doesn't seem to be many melatonin supplements in pharmacies here. Is that correct?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure of that. But I think there are a lot of products that are advertised to increase melatonin. So they may not sell melatonin supplement, but they sell a lot of products that can help in melatonin production.
Mm. And again, just
But
a reminder, yeah, we
yeah,
won't
so
encourage anyone to take these
yeah,
supplements. Please
yeah.
consult your dietitian or your doctor first
Mm,
before taking the supplements. As we mentioned before, it's different for everyone.
mm.
Um, sorry, you were about to say something, Sid?
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing as you.
Oh, okay, sure. Next question. I'm sure this affects a lot of our Muslim audiences, especially for those that wake up very early for sahur, and it disrupts their sleep cycle. If we don't get 8 hours of sleep at night, can we catch up by sleeping during the daytime? And will that affect our dietary habits during
Mm.
Ramadan as well?
All right. So the thing about sleep cycle is that every time you sleep, it starts a new cycle. So even though, for example, if you sleep like 3 to 4 hours at night, and then you sleep another 2 hours, and then after that you work and then another 2 hours, it doesn't conclude as like 7 hours of sleep. It's just another 3 hours of sleep with different cycle. So it cannot, like, to answer your question, can we catch up by sleeping during daytime? It does not help in terms of the sleep cycle, but it may boost you some energy to go through the day. And yes, it can affect your eating habits as well, because then once you sleep, your cycle starts again. So meaning that your cycle is always disrupted. Okay, so when that disrupted, and of course everything else in your body will also be disrupted according to the clock, because then the clock will be reset and then start again, and then reset and start again. So yes, of course it will be affected. But then of course, like since you mentioned that our Muslim members in the participants just now, we know that the Ramadan season or Ramadan month is a month of challenge for us, right? So this is part of the challenge, and I think most of us adults have gone through Ramadan many times in our lives. So I think we can get used to this, even though our sleep will be disrupted. Of course, that's part of the challenge of this month. Yeah.
Just before I get to the last few questions,
Mm.
we do still have time for more questions if anyone would like to ask. So please do please do make the most of this opportunity. Again, you can reach out to Citi outside this webinar, but if you would like a direct response right now, please do send in your question. Okay. Like I said, last few questions. This one is more related to tech, since Naluri is a super app as well. This would be quite a good question. So when is the best time to see a dietitian? This person has a smartwatch that monitors their sleep pattern. Would this be useful in the consultation in order to receive effective recommendations for dietitian? So I guess as well, does as a not separate question but related, how has tech helped dietitians consult and assess their clients?
Yeah. Yes, tech is useful. For example, if you're using smartwatch to track your sleep, um, that's useful for you and also for us and also for other healthcare providers to help you um, give effective communication and advice or recommendations or guidelines. Um, and also, if you are tracking your own calorie, for example, this can also help. You can ask us to whether to know whether it's correct or not. And then the thing about monitoring, that's why Naluri is here, right? We help you in monitoring, not just for example, for dietitians, we have to monitor your food intake. The thing about monitoring is that it has been proven many times in many repeated tests that it helps in when you monitor your food, you will be more aware of what you eat. Therefore, this can help you in preventing you from eating more or from eating bad foods, for example, because number one, you see your efforts. And number two, when you do changes, you know what kind of changes that you did. So it's very rare for you to repeat the mistake. And even if you make some mistakes, for example, you know how you can overcome it. So that's why whether it's by tech or by manual, it's always good to monitor and have um, some data to help with for example, with any consultations or recommendations with any healthcare providers.
Okay. Now we're going to our last question, unless anyone else would like to ask us a question. This is related to the handout we provided just now, the nutrition fact sheet. I did realize this is more catered for meat eaters, but do you have any alternatives for the nutrition recommendations for vegetarians or even vegans as well?
I think for vegetarian, I think that's I think we missed out on that. I'm so sorry for that. Is it okay if we were to give the suggestions for vegetarians later? Is there a way we can do that, Mickey?
Yeah, we can email them directly, but
Yeah.
I think for now we can maybe just name or list a few
Mm-hmm.
options for magnesium, calcium, vitamin D, potassium, vitamin B, and omega 3.
I think for example, like for um, magnesium and potassium, we can have a lot from vegetables. Definitely, a lot of vegetables, leafy greens and nuts definitely have a lot of magnesium and potassium. If you want to know, it gives in the color. For example, potassium, they are usually in an yellow to orange food. They usually have a lot of potassium. And then for magnesium, is very dark leafy greens. So those can be an indicator. Um, calcium. Okay, I think I received questions about calcium. Can almond milk, for example, have enough calcium? So for the milk from vegetable sources or plants-based milk, usually they are fortified with calcium. So, but if you want to know whether it's fortified or not, you can read the labels. So if the concern is about taking plant-based milk and not getting enough calcium, that's usually not is not the case because they are usually fortified. So for example, plant-based milk that are fortified with calcium, and then a lot of dark green leafy vegetables and multiple colors of vegetables uh, can definitely help you in ensuring getting this enough um, um, vitamins and minerals to help with the sleep situation.
Yeah. Okay. Again, we apologize that we forgot to cater for vegetarians. But if you do need direct recommendations for your nutrient intake, you can always reach out to Citi. There are also several online sources. But again, the best advice would be to do your own research first and then consult a dietitian.
I would
Okay.
like to add a little bit more, Mikey.
Mhm.
Yeah, for omega-3 fatty acids, flax seeds, chia seeds are a good source of omega-3 fatty acids, and it's very, very easy to get, and we can put it in a lot of our meals. Yeah.
Yeah, especially for like breakfast and stuff.
Mm,
I tend to see a lot of people just throw in some chia seeds on top of their oats or even their cereal.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like it's 12:15 and it looks like we've covered all of our questions. Sissy, is there anything you would like to add just before we wrap up?
I think it's best to always analyze your diet and ask yourself, are you happy with your current diet or eating patterns? Are you happy? And just ponder on that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Hetty, for that presentation and answering all the questions. Thank you everyone else for joining us today. We appreciate you being here. Before we sign off, we'd like to remind you to give us feedback on the presentation. It's available on that pop-up on your left. If you stay on the call as well, you'll be automatically redirected in just a few minutes. If you enjoyed the session, please do give us good feedback and be sure to visit the Naluri community website to know more about future webinars. Share it with your friends and families. I'd like to see as many people here for the next sessions as we can. Thank you again for joining us today, and we will see you at the next webinar. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.